You already saw the title of the video, so let's just get right into it.
Mickey and her thoughts. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Miki, and I talk about the Barbie movies in chronological order. Today is all about Barbie Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow. Elena is given a visit by Azora. It turns out the guard fairies are looking for new fairies to carry out a tradition. Every year, the guard fairies perform a dance to help the first blush of spring bloom. This time, they want to train new fairies to do it and keep the tradition alive. Moreover, as a result, the fairies would take over in the future as the guard fairies of Fairytopia. Because of her heroic acts, Azura asks Elena to join as her apprentice, and she accepts. On her way, Elena meets this guy, Lyndon, who can understand different languages, including those of animals. Turns out he was also invited to the Garden Fairy camp. Upon her arrival, Elena meets some other interesting characters. First, there's Lumina, who predicts a rather dark future for Elena, that she made a fatal mistake that put the whole of Fairytopia in danger. However, she has no idea when and how it'll happen. Lumina's roommate is Shimmer, who flies with her hair. That is like so cool, but also doesn't hurt. I want to know the logistics of this. I've always loved Lumina's design, it is so pretty. Then Elena runs into Sunburst, who is very rude to her. Literally, the moment she saw Elena, she said, "Oh, you must be Elena. Such a shame, I hoped you wouldn't come." So yeah, not too pretty encounters. Finally, though, she meets Glee, who is much nicer to her, and she even has her own Bibble, but its name is Dizzle, and it's a girl. Do you understand where this is going? Elena gets to her room and it looks just like her home peony. Every one of the fairies was given a personalized room based on their preferences, so of course Azura wanted her to feel at home. All this was being observed by Fungus, giving Laverna information. In case you forgot, she got turned into a frog the last time. The first lesson is waterbending. Elena turns out to be very good at creating structures out of water, but has trouble controlling it from there, so she almost hits Sunburst, a sun fairy. These fairies, if in contact with water, they lose their powers. Given that Sunburst didn't like Elena even before meeting her, this didn't help her case. Next, the fairies are learning the dance steps for the ritual. They will use practice crystals so they know where to fly. Once again, Elena proves to be very good at the task. I forgot to mention one guy from the team, and it's Fabien, who is literally in love with himself. He carries a mirror everywhere he goes, and even gave Alina an autograph the first time they met. Alina had no idea who he was and did not ask for an autograph. Because Alina is praised, Sunburst starts becoming jealous as she sees it like a competition. The last lesson of the day is practicing opening the blush of spring using magic. To simulate, they will have to open these flowers. There is another accident as Alina's magic goes out of control and hits Sunburst, so she is now blue. As revenge, she makes Alina orange, so they are having a back and forth situation until Azura stops them and uses an incantation to reverse the magic. The next day, Alina and Lyndon pass by a frog. Lyndon talks to the frog and she says that she had been transformed into a frog by Laverna. Alina, being the good but naive girl that she is, she believes the frog and uses the incantation she learned from Azura the previous night to release the frog from the curse, only to be presented with Laverna right before her very eyes. Remember the prophecy from Lumina? While playing Fairy Ball, their ball flew off, so Sunburst went to catch it. As she bends to get it, she looks up scared. However, when Shimmer found her, nothing seemed to be wrong. Huh, weird. Alina runs off to the Garden Fairies to tell them of what happened with the frog, but the Guardian Fairies show her a hologram of the swamp where Laverna was exiled. She's still there. This really messes with Alina because she literally just saw Laverna, but the Guardian Fairies do not believe her. Only Azura does, despite the evidence showing otherwise. So, upon Azura's wishes, she decides to secure the area better. So here's what happened. Fungus turned into a frog to look exactly like Laverna while Laverna escaped. So the frog they saw was actually Fungus in the hologram. Alina senses something is wrong with Sunburst because she's being genuinely nice. After this, we get confirmation of what actually happened to Sunburst. So this Sunburst is actually Laverna in disguise, while the real Sunburst is, well, you'll see. Alina decides to see Sunburst's niceness as just a change of heart, as do Glee and Lyndon, but Alina still feels weird about the sudden shift. Alina gets a letter from Laverna to meet her in the rustic forest, as Laverna says they need to have one final fight. Alina decides to go alone, but as she was waiting, Lyndon shows up and urgently brings her back to camp since something happened to Azura. She got really sick. Glee informs her that Azura was poisoned with toad venom, and Alina puts two and two together that it was Laverna. Sunburst, who is actually Laverna, says she tried to fight Laverna. To make matters worse, it wasn't just Azura who got poisoned, but also every other guardian. Everyone blames Alina for everything since she and Sunburst were supposed to be on guarding duty. Both Lyndon and Sunburst take her side. Sunburst's mask starts to slip more, calling Laverna the strongest fairy ever, but plays it off as hallucinations, having a concussion from fighting with Laverna. She tried to say it in the sense that had Alina been here, the outcome would have still been the same. However, Alina admits that had she not left, perhaps none of this would have happened. Which, is sort of true because after all, Sunburst is Laverna. Because of these events, the Enchantress, Laverna's sister, calls all the Guardian Fairies in training for a meeting. She tells them that she will teach them from here on out, and they will have to perform the ritual for the first blush of spring. Why is this so important, you may ask? Well, if they don't do it, it will lead to 10 years of harsh winter. During the ritual, Helena realizes Sunburst is actually Laverna, who was going to sabotage the blush. So Alina runs to find the real Sunburst, who had been encapsulated in a bubble underwater. So Alina brings back the real Sunburst and unmasks Laverna. The ritual is at a halt as Laverna gives her sister an ultimatum. Give her the crown and she will allow the blush to bloom, otherwise she will destroy it. Once again, the naive Enchantress gives in. Aren't you supposed to be the most powerful fairy ever? Can you just not defeat her anyway? Plus, Laverna encapsulated her sister in a bubble that stopped all her powers. Lovely. Wouldn't you know, Laverna then tries to destroy the blush. Oh my god, she broke her promise. So shocking. Alina jumps between Laverna's magic and the blush, and the others back her up with their magic, redirecting Laverna's spell back at her. And so Laverna is defeated. Yay! And Alina has a cool new design too. The problem is that the blush is gone. So yeah, 10 years of hard winter, I guess. But the others don't give up. So they concentrate all of their magic on it. And ta-da! The blush is alive and well again. So because of their bravery, all of them pass the test and will follow as the future generation of guardians. And everyone lives happily ever after, because there's no more sequels. Just as the previous film, I appreciate Alina having contrast to her character, although at least she isn't alone this time. Sunburst rage baits Alina so much to the point where she gets her to lash out. These are great moments because it shows Alina isn't perfect either. She made mistakes throughout the film, but do you know why she made them? It was either due to fear or anger. She fought Sunburst with magic because she was angry Sunburst was mean to her. She transformed the frog back into a human because she felt sorry for it, but also due to bitterness towards Laverna, which is fair, but she let it cloud her judgment. Then she left for the forest because she was afraid of what Laverna may do to everyone else, leaving the place basically unattended since Laverna at this point was already posing as Sunburst. At the end, her anger could have actually caused the coming of spring. When she discovered Sunburst was Laverna, she went out to find the real Sunburst. So this time she actually used her rational side. So Sunburst was actually put in a bubble underwater so that she couldn't use her powers. But then when Alina breaks her out of the bubble, she does take her through the water. Isn't it that these fairies lose their powers when they touch water? Or maybe it's only when they are wet. It's like a Disney H2O, just that water situation. Okay, anyway. Everyone working together towards one common goal is what ultimately saved Fairytopia. What was the goal? Sure, you could argue it's defeating Laverna, but it was helping Alina in saving the Blush of Spring. It's a thin nuance, but an important one. Their support is visible in Alina's new wings and outfit reflecting all of them. After all, the people you meet, all the experiences in your life shape who you are, so it only makes sense that she is the rainbow. There is also this side plot of Bibble losing a tooth and him going to leave it for the tooth fairy to take. That and the fact that he falls for Dizzle, which is absolutely adorable. What's very interesting is that Lyndon was not a love interest. It seemed like he would have been, and probably he could be, but it's never a plot that is perfectly addressed, so he's really just a friend. The love plot in this movie is just Bibble and Dizzle, and it's absolutely adorable. All in all, a great ending to the Fairytopia franchise. What do you think? Let me know your opinions in the comments. And if you liked this video, there's plenty more just like it on my channel. Make sure to subscribe, press the bell to be notified of my new uploads, especially since the next one will be covering Barbie as the Island Princess. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!